What is going on, everybody? It's Lou from Life Beyond the Panels, and today is New Comic Book Day. It is August 12th, 2026, and yeah, as always, we've got a pretty nice haul, but before I go into the haul, I'm going to show you guys a couple other things that I got, plus I'm going to talk to you a little about something I'm pretty proud of myself about this week with New Comic Book Day. So first, what I do want to show you guys is some of the collected editions I got since last week's video. So here I picked up DC Finest Green Lantern. This is the Defeat of Green Lantern, which is the first DC Finest that came out. It covers 1963 to 1965. So I really enjoy Green Lantern. I like Hal Jordan, and I was reading some of the earlier stuff on DC Infinite, so I figured it'd be pretty cool to pick this up and start collecting the Green Lantern DC Infinites as well as the Batmans. I really love DC Infinite. Comment below if you guys read DC Infinite. I think they're really awesome, and they're really affordable too, especially if you can get them at a good price. You know, the cover price is $40 on this, and the comic book shop I go to get these gives me 25% off. So I had to go buy bags and boards, so I figured, you know what, let's see what DC Finest they have, and I was pretty happy to see that they had this one. And in addition to that, I got from Crooks and Bandits last week the Volume 2 of Tom King's Batman. You know, Batman is definitely my favorite character, so collecting as much as I can of him. Yeah, I already have Volume 1 of the Omnibus. I haven't read it yet, so this one just goes right up on the shelf next to Volume 1. And you know, I know a lot of people are, you know, don't really love Tom King. I personally, so far, everything I've read of Tom King's, I enjoy. I do know somebody who's in one of the Discord groups of mine. He hates this. He hates the Volume 1 omnibus. And I did see some of it. I was like, okay, I could probably see why Tom King is not for everybody. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to it eventually after I read Volume 1. And I think this cover is freaking amazing as well. By the way, speaking of omnibuses, if you saw my video where I showed you I finished the Donny Cates Venom omnibus, I've now moved on to a new omnibus within my rotation. I'm reading Kelly Thompson, Captain Marvel. So I read the first issue with that last night, and it was pretty awesome. Also, I'm reading other omnibuses I'm reading right now. I'm reading the Age of Dawn of X Volume 1. That's the Krakoa Volume 1, which I'm freaking loving. It's really got me this X-Men, like really wanting to read so much X-Men right now. And I have Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 1, which I have just one more reading block of that to go. And also the New Teen Titans Volume 1, which I have one more reading block of that to go. So you're going to be seeing those reviews up here on the channel whenever I do finish those omnibuses, which is going to be pretty soon. So, you know, keep an eye out for that. Now, before I go into what I'm going to be reading digitally through the apps this week, I wanted to tell you I'm pretty proud of myself for not buying a comic this week, and that was for not buying the new Miles Morales issue #1 this week. And it goes back to my budget video. In fact, I'll leave a card up here if I remember when I'm editing for the budget video that I did, I think it was last month. And, you know, you only have so much money you can spend each month. And anybody who knows if they have a pull list, that pull list can definitely grow really quickly. And being more intentional about what #1s you're putting on your pull list, I think, is important. Now, I do think you throw some #1s on there, read it, check it out, see if you like it. If you don't like it, you know what? That's fine. There's really no harm, no foul. But for me, somebody who likes to read my single issues and also like to collect and read the collected editions, there's only so much room there. So I need to be a little more intentional about what singles I'm getting. And the great thing is by having these apps, at least I don't have to say, boy, I'm never going to read the new Miles Morales series. I just say, well, I'm going to wait 3 months to start reading it, and I think that's perfectly fine too. What I do like to do is, because on League of Comic Geeks, people get their comics early and they write reviews for them already and they have scores for them. I like to scope out what new #1s are coming out, and I do this every Tuesday night. I do this, and then I'll do it again Wednesday morning when things have had a chance to update. And I'll go and I'll take a look and I'll see, okay, what are people scoring it so far on League of Comic Geeks? What are people saying about it so far on League of Comic Geeks? And when it comes to Miles Morales, like this morning, it had a 3.7 score. And what people were saying about it was that it seems like Miles Morales almost kind of got a reset to him. So I was like, all right, I was kind of on the fence about this book anyway, because I'm not as connected to Miles Morales. I have read some, but you know, I remember even when I was buying the last series, it wasn't like I was really super excited about it. I was just kind of reading it. And I said, let's not just buy it because it's new #1 and it's a popular character and all that stuff. Let's think logically about this. Do I want to add another $5 book to my pull list every single month that could possibly be used towards something else? And that's what I did. And I think that's a pretty smart thing to do. I do it a lot with the Ignition Press books since I like to read, a lot of the independent stuff. And another thing I'm really trying to do to really not let my pull list balloon out of control to where I can't get any collected editions is I'm really trying to stay away from miniseries unless they have some kind of significance to other comics. I feel like miniseries can easily either be read through trade, especially when we're talking about independent comics, or can be read in a delay through the apps. So yeah, I was pretty proud of myself about that. Now, let me show you guys what I am going to be reading this week on Marvel Unlimited and DC Infinite. Now, these books, last week, the stuff I read, I did not include in my top 10 video. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that yet. For the most part, I'm not reading these as part of my normal nightly reading schedule. I've been reading them more so in bed because it's just very convenient to read with an iPad in bed. So I haven't been really writing down my thoughts on each of these. And by the time I wake up in the morning, sometimes since I was reading them and I was probably a little bit tired, I don't remember much about them, but we'll see. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. To be continued, I guess. So let's see, on DC Infinite, and I'll give you a couple of things, by the way. I'm going to tell you a couple more things. We are going to get to the books I bought this week, but this is all part of it. This is all part of the journey of the weekly pull list and buying comics and all that stuff. All right, so this week I'm going to be reading on DC Infinite. We are going to be reading the New Titans, issue number 37, Deathstroke, the Terminator, issue number 5, World's Finest, issue number 53, not Barbara Gordon. I'll get to that in a second. And Clayface, Celebrity Dirt #1. This is a perfect example of a book where I know it got good reviews, but I'm like, it's a mini series. I could just wait 30 days and read it on DC Infinite. So I want to show you a couple things here. Barbara Gordon Breakout and Bleeding Hearts are on here. I did decide now that the first arc was over that I'm not continuing to buy Bleeding Hearts. Again, it's a great book. It's fantastic. Just like I read Fury of Firestorm on here. But I don't need to read it the day it comes out. I'm okay with waiting 30 days the day it comes out. Nobody really talks about it online, so I don't have to really skip videos that I'm watching to worry about spoilers or anything like that. So I'm okay reading this 30 days later. So I did drop Bleeding Hearts from my monthly pull list that I'm purchasing at the store, and instead it's on my monthly reading list on DC Infinite, which will happen next month once now there's an issue that I haven't already read since I already read this issue. Same thing with Barbara Gordon Breakout. Barbara Gordon Breakout's a completely different thing. I don't even like it. We'll see. But so I was like, it might have more to do with what's going on in the regular Batman book. It might still, because it's basically spinning out of that book. That's the reason why I'm reading it. But at this point, even though it's only $3.99, that's $3.99 I could just spend elsewhere. So that's why I put it on DC Infinite. And let's see, on Marvel Unlimited this week, Marvel Unlimited app is not as great for this kind of stuff, but I do put the books that I'm reading under the following tab. So it looks like the only thing here is Captain Marvel, the Captain Marvel Dark Past, issue number 2 released this week on Marvel Unlimited. So I'm going to read that. That's it for Marvel Unlimited. I have way more books on DC Infinite than Marvel Unlimited because of the big difference between having a 1 month gap and a 3 month gap makes my decision making, a little bit clearer for DC Infinite. But anyway, all right, that being said, let's dive into the books we did purchase from the LCS this week. And I think it's also important as I show you what books I have here, why I'm buying them. Why am I spending the money on these books as opposed to not? And so yeah, let's go through it here. First of all, we have Absolute Batman. This is issue number 23. Why am I buying this book? Because it's probably the best book I read. Let's be honest, it's an amazing book. So of course we're getting Absolute Batman. By the way, I did notice that Absolute Batman issue number 25 and Absolute Wonder Woman issue number 25 are going to be $5.99, which is kind of annoying when we're talking about budgeting, by the way. All right, so we have here Action Comics. This is issue number 1101. So this is part 2 of this Kingdom of Zod event that's happening right now. So I'm definitely interested in this, and more to come later as we go through this stack here. So And I've been reading Action Comics, been enjoying Action Comics. Now, this was a book that I was contemplating moving to DC Infinite. But now, because of Kingdom of Zod, it's going to be part of the Superman book as well. And if Superman is now back in this, and especially if there is more stories intertwined between the regular Superman book and Action Comics, then I'd be staying on Action Comics. So, but for right now, of course, we're still here, and this is Kingdom of Zod Part 2. Now, this is an interesting one. This is Doctor Strange issue number 9. Now, I remember back when issue number 1 came out, I did not buy it. And something, I think it was after I read Sorcerer Supreme, because I really love Scarlet Witch, that I ended up going back and reading issue number 1. And then I eventually bought issue number 1 after reading it online and decided to buy this. In retrospect, I should not have done that. It's been a great book. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I enjoy it. Not one of the books I really need to read on time. There really was very little tie-in with anything else that's really been going on. So, and you know, Mortal Thor is a book that I'm reading on Marvel Unlimited. But at this point, I'm like, okay, there's only 10 issues in Doctor Strange, so I'm just going to finish it out. Again, I've enjoyed the book. I look forward to it, but it's probably a book I didn't really need to have in my collection. Next up, we have G.I. Joe issue number 331. Now, you guys know me. I'm a huge G.I. Joe fan. The original Marvel series, I have all issues, but 2 of the issues, I'm always buying Larry Hama's G.I. Joe. And we have Snake Eyes on the cover, who's my favorite character. Even though this is a little bit of a different Snake Eyes than the one I grew up with. So, yeah, this is G.I. Joe. All that stuff is always going to be a mainstay on my pull list. It'll never go anywhere. Next up, we have The Infernal Hulk. This was a great series. This is the final issue of this. Now, I think we have some fight issues coming up next up, where Infernal Hulk faces Wolverine, I think, and faces... I'm not really sure. I haven't looked too deep into it yet. So even though this is the last issue of Infernal Hulk, there are then, I guess, these fight issues or something coming up. But, I mean, this has been a really great series that I've really enjoyed. So this is a book I'm glad that I have been reading monthly, you know, up to date. Next up, we have Just Brutal issue number 5. This is another book I've really, really enjoyed. It's a mini-series. The only thing kind of sucks about this is it's a mini-series, and it might have actually read better in trade. In retrospect, books like this right now, I love this book, but books like this right now, when I see a number 1 and I see it's a mini-series, I'm probably pushing it off the trade because I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to avoid buying as many mini-series. This is the penultimate issue. I really enjoyed it. But I do feel like it would have been a better read in trade. But like we're committed. We're pot committed at this point. We're finishing it up. And then you know what might happen? I may end up selling it on eBay and then buying the trade anyway, which is something that I've been doing. Next up here we have The Punisher by Ben Percy. I love Ben Percy. I'm definitely going to be buying his books, especially when it's a character I enjoy, like The Punisher. So this is something that I wouldn't want to wait 3 months to read. I get excited to read this every single month. Next up we have the Queen in Black Thor tie-in. Issue number 1. This is just a thing of, you know what, Queen in Black, it's tied into Venom. I enjoy reading Al Ewing's Venom, and I just committed myself to getting all the tie-ins as well. I want to have the whole event, and then eventually I'm going to put it in a portfolio, and I will have that on my shelf. So this is the interesting one. This is Supergirl issue number 16. Now this is the Kingdom of Zod Part 1. Now again, I said I want to read the Kingdom of Zod storyline. Supergirl is a book I've actually dropped and have been reading on DC Infinite, but because of this situation, I am picking up Supergirl just for this particular event, and then afterwards it'll go back to DC Infinite. Next up here we have Transformers issue number 35, see G.I. Joe. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. In Energon Universe, I'm going to be picking these up. Also, independent books, not as easy to read online. You can't do a subscription service with a lot of them, so... You know, these are always going to be something that's going to be on my pull list if it's a book I like. And Transformers, of course, were always going to be there. Which, by the way, I was pretty excited to see on League of Comic Geeks. And let me see if that's still the case here. Yeah, Transformers is the second most pulled book on League of Comic Geeks this week, right behind Absolute Batman. I think that's freaking awesome. I love that. That is so great. That is insane. They're beating out X-Men, Action Comics. You know, yeah, pretty amazing. Oh, another book, by the way, I didn't pick up this week was the Batman and Robin Year 1, which I know is going to be really good. But I was like, I bought the Year 1, the first Year 1 for them in hardcover. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing with this one as well. I'm just not going to buy it. Next up, we have Venom issue number 260, which I did not realize that they actually moved back to the 3-digit numbers. I didn't realize with the Venom cover I have, I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah, the Venom cover I have on the wall is actually $2.59. So yeah, I love the Al Ewing Venom, and I'm going to be reading it. And this is something that I want to read when it comes out, even if it wasn't part of the Queen in Black. Next up here we have X-Men number 35. Now X-Men 35, I have not this X-Men run I have not been collecting since the beginning, so I don't have a complete collection of it. But I love X-Men. I'm really into X-Men. And this is a book that I want to read when it comes out. Plus, we have this DNX event. So many events going on right now. So, yeah, this is something that it's a no-brainer. It's going to be picked up by me every week it comes out. Or if I might be going bi-weekly too. So, and the final book, speaking of X-Men, is going to be X-Men United. That is issue number 6. I don't know. It may be going more than 10 issues. I can't find anything definitively that's only going 10 issues. I hope it is going to go a little bit more than that. It is disconnected from it's kind of disconnected from what's going on in the regular X-Men books, but it's something that I've really enjoyed, and this story arc going on right now I'm really enjoying. So again, this is a book where X-Men is just going to be something I'm going to pick up, and I want to read it the day it comes out. So yeah, that's it. Those are my pulls. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I talked a lot about different things in this video, but I think it's important not to just show you the comics I have, but why I'm buying them, why there are some books that I'm not buying, and yeah. If you guys like this video, make sure you click the like, the thumbs up, the bell, all the other good stuff, and yeah, we'll be back for the next video, which will be probably talking about these books and where they ranked. So until next time, see ya.